This video is a film study piece on Aidan Hutchinson and the impact that he's had for the Detroit Lions defense through 2 weeks, coming back from a season-ending injury in 2024. He's only got 2 quarterback hits, 1 sack, and over 100 snaps. But nonetheless, the Lions played a great game defensively against the Bears in Week 2. I think the gravity of Hutchinson is revealed in at least 2 plays from this video that I'll show you in the film against Chicago, that is. I think he's playing well. Would we like to see more pressure? Sure. Do I occasionally think I see a slightly higher pad level based on my memory recollection? Yes, I do. But there's been a ton of chips on film from the Packers and the Bears. They know what he's capable of, particularly in the Green Bay game in Week 1. Tight ends were helping out a lot on him, trying to wear him down, if you will, force someone else to beat him. And in that Green Bay game, of course, no one was able to. They really weren't at full speed, I think, against the Packers from the standpoint of their defensive structure, their coverages were obvious to Jordan Love. And so the ball was out quick. So therefore, the pass rush, if you chip in Aidan Hutchinson, someone else has got to get there quick, and it just didn't occur. We're going to look at, I think, 2 plays from the Green Bay game and then 1 from Chicago. It was good to see him get his first sack against the Bears, albeit late in the 4th quarter. To me, Hutchinson looks like a guy who maybe comes to your city in an NBA trip, and they've been shooting the ball poorly the last 2 or 3 games, and you know that they're a star, so you look at it like, oh shit, this guy's getting ready to blow up on us. Like I said, we will talk about 2 plays from the Green Bay game. I'll spot shadow Hutchinson pretty much in yellow at the beginning of each play. Try to direct or orient or draw his path for you in yellow. You get a really nice bull rush, if you ask me, from Hutchinson, trying to drive the right tackle back into Love's lap. It's one of the few times where really he's not doubled or chipped, if you will, and you do get this consistency of guards looking to peel back out to him. Now, in this case, it's because Tyleik Williams stepped to the inside, step to the center. But when you don't have any quick pass rush on the quarterback, you get situations like this. This is the first touchdown from Love. It's over the top of Jack Campbell. It's a perfectly thrown ball, right? It's 2-man situation. First of all, I think the coverages have been somewhat predictable at times for Detroit, and that could be related to the pass rush not getting there, if you will. Do I think that's going to apply to the entirety of the 2005 Lions defense? No, but in a small sample size so far, that's pretty much what we've been getting, particularly in Green Bay. 3rd quarter, it's a 2nd and 6. One of the 2 opportunities that Detroit had to really change the game. This is the dropped interception by Anzalone, the pressure that's created by O'Connor, and then Hutchinson from the top side. So Hutchinson's getting chipped by the tight end, and then O'Connor down here is one-on-one with the right tackle. This is what Detroit needs, is they need someone to win in those situations where Hutchinson's getting chipped or slowed down, if you will. I always have loved his secondary effort when he's chipped. It's almost like he gets pissed off when someone chips him or redirects his path, and then he has to reorient to the quarterback and just be an athlete. There's no predetermined pass rush moves. This is just, I'm going to get to the quarterback and you can't stop me. And sure enough, Hutchinson and O'Connor both arrive at Love. This is 3rd quarter. The problem is you didn't have any pressure here beforehand, right? There was just nothing generated at all. But I think Love is trying to get the ball down here, which is kind of crazy. It's really far down the field. Illustrates perhaps a little bit of impatience. We know how it ends up, right? In Alex Anzalone's hands right here, ends up being a dropped interception. That's Hutchinson dragging Love to the ground. We'd like to see a little bit more of that, obviously, here in 2025, particularly at the beginning of the season. We'll get back to the film for Chicago. I think I've got 6 plays queued up for you here that illustrate his gravity. A couple of situations where I'll talk about his pad level, and to me it looks slightly higher than I remember in the past, but I still haven't gone back and looked at 2024 film to really compare it. This is a blown coverage by Detroit, in my opinion. It's the first possession, the first touchdown, in fact, for Chicago. So look at the pocket that is here on really what looks like a 6-man rush. You got Anzalone here, Campbell here, Amik Robertson off the edge. They're not able to generate anything, and I think this also gives you a little bit of an idea of what Hutchinson has been asked to do so far in 2025. Like I said, small sample size, I think 106, 107 snaps. He's dropped out in coverage at times. He's been asked to stunt to the inside, kind of like you see here, giving up that edge path for Robertson on the blitz. It didn't work out well for Detroit. Jack Campbell certainly is not meant to cover a guy like Odunze. I think this is either a bad coverage scheme, to be honest with you, or just poor application by the guys on the field for Detroit. They really ruined the opening possession touchdown when it took a 7-0 lead, and at this point here, it's now tied. Hutchinson dropped out, I think, 3 times in coverage in the Packers game, occasionally been used as a chipper. Sometimes on certain plays, you can't be sure about, is it the tight end's intention to chip him? Is Hutchinson designed to get hands on the tight end? I'm not sure, but this is third possession. Detroit is now up 14-7. You got 2 tight ends to the right-hand side of Chicago's offense. So it's 12 personnel twin wing B with the running back set opposite of the 2 tight ends. Hutchinson's going to touch or jam the tight end to the inside, 84, trying to get out in his route, and it really kind of adjusts the path of Hutchinson. I don't think Hutchinson and Tyleik Williams are doing this on their own. I think this is a predetermined thing for Tyleik Williams to stunt to the outside. You kind of get an idea of what he's doing here by looking at the right tackle and then working to the outside. On the other side, you've got O'Connor trying to work the edge rush, and I believe this is DJ Reader. None of it, actually occurs in terms of developing pressure. Quick completion to Odunze for 12 yards. I would like to see Hutchinson be more attack-oriented. And again, very small sample size that we've got, 100 plays, but, we are almost 1/8 of the way through the season. He's played 2 games at this point. I'd like to see him be more attack-oriented, especially if Davenport is going to miss any amount of time at all. Second quarter, I think a missed opportunity for Hutchinson. Like I said, he's spot shadowed here. You kind of can't see him. He's tucked on the other side of Robertson. Detroit's up 14-7 at this point, and you got this dropping out of Barnes, who lines up at defensive tackle. I think that's one of the things that they're going to do now. Actually, I kind of talked about it in the offseason. I believe that Barnes is going to be used as an edge rusher, but Hutchinson with a really nice spin move here. I think the pad level is slightly higher than what I remember. He used to be able to get the elbow and the tricep a little bit lower, but the tackle's kind of bent over there or leaning forward, if you will, and he's not able to finish off this sack, unfortunately. Would have been a cool moment for Detroit, already up 1 score, to be able to get the sack here and presumably get a stop by forcing a punt, on the ensuing play, which would have been a 3rd and long. It ends up being an interception for Kirby Joseph nonetheless. Look, how can you quantify or try to even explain to people who are non-Lions fans the stats that Joseph has put up so far? It just it boggles my mind that he's not talked about in a little higher, from a reputation standpoint, because he's got great ball skills, a tremendous range as a free safety, and in this case, Hutchinson does, in fact, force the pressure or force Caleb Williams out of the pocket. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is it's a spy. So you've got a 3-man rush, and then Barnes is the spy. There's 2 or 3 instances in this game where I think Barnes could play a little bit more of a factor and basically be there a little quicker. He is fronting up Caleb Williams, if you will, but I think Barnes could play some of these situations a little better. He's a very versatile guy, good in coverage, particularly good against running backs into the boundary, dropping out. And if Davenport is out for any length of time, certainly that's going to mean Derek Barnes is going to be on the field pretty much every single snap. Davenport's sack here, ironically the play that he suffered, I think, a shoulder injury on after dealing with some type of ankle issue in the first half. We're into the third quarter. Detroit's up 31-14. So there's a design stunt here. Once again, Hutchinson, I don't want to say he's giving himself up, but he's going to inside rush path, and Branch is blitzing off the edge. You can't blame Kelvin Shepard, right, for blitzing Branch, who's fantastic at pretty much everything that he does. Focus for a moment here. I love this move from Davenport. I mean, it's obviously tantalizing to see if you can get the guy out there more often. The ability to stab with his inside arm, the right arm, and then clear a path to get to Williams. It's just crazy that he ended up, injured after this play. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a serious injury out long term. I'd love to see him be healthy. In my opinion, he's a great complement for Hutchinson if he can stick around and stay on the field. I know that that's a big if. Whoever it is, Davenport or someone else, there's got to be a player to pick up the slack. If you get a longer period of time where Hutchinson, isn't finishing, not able to finish plays, or have a tremendous impact in terms of his own statistical production, meaning Hutchinson. Unsure of Davenport's status at the time of this recording, but just from a depth standpoint, not that I don't think highly of Muhammad, and I think he played well last year in 2024, trying to replace the injured edge rushers or defensive linemen. I'm just not sure that anyone else on this roster besides Davenport can do what you need them to complement or balance out Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. Hutchinson off the right side here. Again, this is that same possession. after Davenport's sack. In fact, this is the 3rd and 14. So 4-man rush, and somehow Barnes ends up on the inside. Well, and let me not lie here. It's pretty obvious. He gets chipped by the running back, and I don't believe Barnes is supposed to end up in this gap. I believe Barnes is supposed to be out here as the contain player for Williams, if you will. There's no contain rush at all, number one. Number two, watch this guard step to Hutchinson. It's the left guard, Thuney or Thuney, however you say it. So Wingo is working to his side. Wingo 94 right here. And the left guard, let's do it that way, steps back out to Hutchinson at the same time that the center works his way back in to Barnes. Now, the center wouldn't have stepped that way if Barnes was out here like I'm advocating for. My point is, it's a trickle-down effect with Hutchinson. The guard steps to Hutchinson, the center steps to Barnes, and of course, here's Wingo free to get to the quarterback. There's no contain on the other side, though, so Williams is able to escape easily. By the way, this is Barnes now, who's got great pursuit. He's a great athlete, in my opinion. I think he's got to be a little more disciplined if they're asking him to spy on one play, line up at D tackle and drop out, line up at defensive end or edge rusher, and then drop out and sometimes rush the passer. He hasn't been a great pass rusher in his career. Very versatile player, someone I did a film study video of after 2023, I think before the 2024 season. And I really like him. I'll be glad if he gets on the field a lot. Nonetheless, I think they need a talent upgrade on the opposite side of Aidan Hutchinson. And I don't mind saying that to you guys as Lions fans. You may have a different opinion about it than me. I think it would improve this defense immediately if you had some type of talent upgrade at the defensive end spot on the other side. 4th and 5, Hutchinson is rushing from the left-hand side, and you get a great illustration of the trickle-down effect. So I'm not really sure how to draw these pass drops, but the right guard is initially dealing with Tyleik Williams and just leaves him. I mean, literally just leaves him to go help with Hutchinson. And look what happens. Williams gets the PD because the guard has stepped out to Hutchinson. The gravity, it's not a phrase used, oftentimes with defensive linemen, normally, in the NBA with great basketball players. Hutchinson's got gravity. I think you see illustration of it on the last 2 plays. This can't happen. You can't free up or leave a B-gap defensive tackle rusher. Tyleik Williams ends up in A-gap, but you can't leave those guys unblocked. They're too talented. In this case, on a 4th and 5, gets his hands up in the air, almost ends up being Terry Arnold's first interception, right? And in fact, his actual pick was negated by the penalty on Brian Branch that I really don't think should have been called on the Lions. But in any case, I think you get an idea on the last 2 plays of what Hutchinson brings, even when he's not producing. And then here we go with him, his first sack of 2025. I'm not worried about him at all from a production standpoint. I expect a 3-sack game at some point, hopefully not next week against the Ravens, but there'll be a part of me that'll just celebrate the fact that a great player, a great talent, returns to form, if you will. Campbell's on the running back, if you ask me. Barnes, as an outside edge rusher, is going to step to the inside and then become the spy. So once again, you've got, I would consider it a 3-man rush with Hutchinson, the D tackle, and Muhammad, and then Barnes as the spy. Let's pull this back a couple of times so you guys can see the rush by Hutchinson. Really just working his way past the left tackle, a total blowout from an athletic standpoint. In addition, if Williams tries to escape, I think Barnes is the spy that could potentially fill in that gap. Or, let's pull this out of the way, flow to the outside if Williams was to get outside like he did on the previous snap. Great moment. I know it's 45-10. It's late in the 4th quarter. The game is, all over for all intents and purposes. I actually wondered if maybe some of the Lions players, their better players, should have been, off the field at that time. It's kind of still difficult to think about the fact that Aidan Hutchinson missed all of what I consider to be a historic 2024 for Detroit. 15-2 record, home field advantage in the playoffs. No, it didn't work out. It didn't result in an NFC Championship game appearance. It certainly didn't result in a Super Bowl appearance or a Super Bowl championship. But I think that they deserve credit, all of those guys, and Aaron Glenn, for what they were able to get accomplished with so many injuries on the defensive side. Would have been great justice for Hutchinson to be able to come back at some point. It wasn't in the cards. From a standpoint of Hutchinson and his family, I can only imagine what it felt like to see him return home in Detroit and play well, get a sack, display the gravity and the ability to impact the game despite not having much statistical production through 3 or 3.5 quarters. Do I think he's the same guy? Absolutely. Is he on a defensive player of the year track through 2 games like 2024? No, of course not, right? The stats don't look the same. There's nothing to do now but for Hutchinson just to keep going out there, playing hard. He plays 1,000 miles an hour. I want to see him in attack mode, though, to be honest with you. I want to see teams are chipping him with tight ends. Yeah, that's going to continue. Are they going to make him work by trying to wear him down with tight ends, running backs, guards peeling out to him? I do think that maybe Shepard could design some things to take advantage of that fact. You're not going to always be successful as an edge rusher in the NFL. There's just too much talent on the offensive line and too many quarterbacks who can get rid of the ball quick. That's one of the things that I think is a slight issue for this defense is the way that coverages are being called and the predictability with which you as a quarterback can perceive the coverage pre-snap and know where to go with the football sooner. I'd like to see more variability. I'd like to see more versatility. I do think, as I mentioned a couple times before, I discern a slightly higher pad level than I remember, but I'll have to go back in the film and take a look to confirm. I could obviously be wrong. I think Hutchinson is a huge asset to the defense. Someone they'll rely on, obviously, starting next week with the collision with the Ravens. Our tackles have struggled. Our offensive line has struggled for real. Our fan base is scared to death of Aiden Hutchinson, and they should be. He's a premier talent, in my opinion. Doesn't have premier stats in terms of sacks or quarterback hits through 2 games. Nothing like we saw early in 2024, but it's coming. I have no doubt. You don't have that much talent, that much physical prowess, and that much experience, and not be able to impact the game from a statistical standpoint. The number of snaps he's playing, the responsibility that's on his shoulders, being the main or perhaps only primary or only pass rush guy who's proven, I think that's a real issue until Aleem McNeil comes back. And I hope you don't mind me saying that. I'm just being honest with you on what my feelings are. I wish that Detroit had addressed the defensive end / pass rusher position a little bit more seriously than they did in the offseason. The injury to Davenport, unfortunately, would make certain people like myself who said that appear to be proven right. That brings me no joy. I hope I'm wrong. I wish Davenport has a 10-12 sack season and Hutchinson gets 15. That's just the way I want to see it work out for Detroit, the team, for you as a fan base, and for my ultimate goal to see the Lions and Ravens rematch in the Super Bowl this year in California. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video, the plays that I chose to use to try to give you a balanced insight on what I think of Aiden Hutchinson's play so far. Not perfect, clearly. He's not dominating statistically. Teams are doing things to try to minimize his impact and maybe even wear him down like body shots over the course of the fight or the course of the 60-minute game. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section, number 1. And number 2, if you think other Detroit Lions fans would enjoy this video, along with my thoughts on his play so far through 2 games, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.